Yeah, when you talk about youth, generally people want to think of very young people in Nigeria. Some people target youth to be from 18 to 25. The United Nations has its own, definition, and then we localize it in Nigeria, in Africa. What is the target in terms of population for youth and all of that when you're dealing with your constituency?
Okay, if I got you right, you mean the age range of who a youth is or who a youth should be. Just like you said, the United Nations in their charter have the benchmark of 18 to 35. If you check another document, you have 14 to 28. If you go further, you also have 18 to 24 or 25 or thereabout, right? And so for us in Nigeria, who is a youth? We've sat down with the Federal Ministry of Youth Development trying to do a review of the National Youth Policy. We had people who argued that the age range of who a young person is in Nigeria should be reconsidered. And what was their reason? Their reason was simple because that even though we are signatories to the charter, but our reality as a country does not really give us the room to attain our set goals within the age range of 18 to 24, 18 to 35, as the case may be. Some people argued that they should take it up a little bit. Some people say take it to 40. Some others who had not even met their milestone will tell you take it to 45 or even 50. And then we also have some people who are still struggling, and then they feel that they have not met their milestone. So that the youth, who is the youth? A youth should be anybody who is agile, who has strength and all. So there are a lot of complexity around who a young person, but ideally, a young person should be between the age of 18 to 35, as we have in the document, right? But the space for young persons is open. If you are old and still feel young, we accommodate all of them.
So your policies are directed to not a certain age limit, but just people who are still strong enough, like you said, who are mentally in tune to use stuff and all. Doesn't that give you some sort of not clear-cut, people you're working with?
I just stated that there's age range between 18 to 35, but I gave you a background of a reality, what people think in this country, where you have a very old men struggling the space of the youth. And you go to organization, you could say this person is a youth leader, and the person is way above 50.
Especially the Minister of Youth in the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
He's a young person, yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is. He's a young person.
Does it fall within the range that you think he should be?
I do not have specific information about the age of the Honorable Minister, but for the time we've worked with him, he obviously represents a community as a young person.
Now, in Nigeria, a lot of people have been saying youth o'clock in terms of politics, governance, and all of that. Do you see that, or do you think, from what you've seen, work with minister and all of that, that youth are taking their place politically in Nigeria?
Yes, the nation did a good job some years ago where they signed into law the not too young to run bill. Yes, and I think it's now an act of parliament where young persons were given some kind of considerations to accommodate young persons. And significantly, at the time, we saw that a number of young persons took advantage of that law and participated actively. And we can count our gains across the country, the states, the local government. Where I come from, Cross River State, the immediate past governor of Cross River State, I think is an example of one leader that opened the space for young persons to participate in government. And so even the current governor, we have a number of young persons, Senator Prince Bassey Aderotu, who he had given opportunity to hold different offices. But there's a challenge. The different vehicles, the different political vehicles in our politics are making it very tough every day. Even though they had signed, we have a law to make this political participation for young person easy. So when a political party, for instance, gives make the cost of purchase of form for participate. When you place it very high, you know you are shutting down young persons, right? Because young persons are struggling. You may have the desire to lead, to serve your people, but you're already being cut off because you do not have the resources first to even indicate interest. So I would like to check what the bill, the law giving young people is to participate in different level of leadership. What it says about such control mechanism. I also like to advocate that if young persons show up to participate in the politics, we should cut down these things so that they can be part of the process.
That will amount to power being given. They say power is taken, it is not given.
Yes.
If you're not ready to take power, then you're not ready for leadership. Isn't that it?
Yes. Power is not donated. Power is taken. So it means also, on the other hand, young people need to come together to support young persons who have aspiration, but yet do not have the resources. Out of this space, we have people fund people's aspiration, right? So when we see young persons who have the ability, who have served before, and who are ready to serve again, genuinely, people can come together to support. So it is time for us as young persons in Nigeria. It's time for us as young persons in Nigeria to come together to support young persons, either by funding, either by putting funds together, by campaigns, by every means we need to. Because just like you've mentioned, power is not donated. And for us to get power, we must come together as young persons to pursue this power and then get it. And we can only get it when we have more young persons coming into offices.
And let's go back to your state, cross-river that you mentioned a moment ago. What have you achieved in terms of the youth council? What are those visible things you said you can say to someone that the youth council has achieved this for young people, and we're looking forward to this specifically?
Okay, perfect. The youth council is a platform for youth advocacy and creating a space also for young persons to engage constructively to make their demands. And that's what we've done in Cross River State. For me, as state chairman of youth council, a year and so and counting, we across the states, first, you must have the mindset, you must work on the mindset. So we're embarked on different forms of campaigns across Cross River State against drugs, against cultism, against hooliganism, against vandalism, all of these vices, and we can counter against. Another thing again we've done as a youth community, we had gone across the state, encouraging young persons to register to get their voters card, right? Because you can't be asking that you want to be included in governance and then you do not participate in registering to get your voter card that can actually cause the change that we desire. So it is not enough for me or for young persons in Cross River State to say, I'm a young person, you have to carry me along, the common word. And then the basic thing, which is civic, for them to do, to register to get their voter card and then to be ready for transition as we are warming up for. So we had gone across to do that. And then another thing again is to create synergy among different youth groups. In Cross River State, we do not have any sort of skirmishes among young persons. We have a common goal, and that goal is to engage with the authorities and other stakeholders to see how we can get what is meant for young persons. Through the Ministry of Youth Development, different trainings, they have embarked on different trainings. We have people currently with an organization called Chiron, technical training. They have trained people on ICT, even in agriculture, through the Ministry of Youth Development and the Ministry of Wealth Creation. His Excellency, the Governor, had supported young person, about 400 young persons with capital, 2 million naira, that amounted about 800 million naira for their agribusiness, and that's after their training. So we are doing a whole lot as a youth community, and the government are doing well for young persons in Cross River State.
Right, like you did mention, you're trying to mobilize you to get their voter card and everything to participate in politics. We're in the political season. Ahead of 2027, how do you see the participation of youth coming through for young people? Because more often than not, it is the youth that will decide, they are the greater voting population that will decide the leaders that will, take in positions in 2027.
Yes, it's time for us to position ourselves as young persons in Nigeria and then cross river states so that we can take advantage of our number, our population, the energy we have, the innovations, and the drive we have as young persons. So we shouldn't just exist to be counted as a greater percentage of the population. We must participate actively. And it is from this participation that young persons can now make demand. Okay, I was part of this process. Please, you have to get us involved. If you're nonchalant, for instance, you lost faith with whatever that is happening, you don't participate, and then suddenly a government is formed and then you want to make demands. It doesn't work that way. So my charge to young persons in Cross River State is for them to get involved at whatever level. Is it mobilization? Is it engagement? Is it even running for offices? As I speak to you, the Ebide Past State Chairman of Youth Council just resigned his office. He's running for an office. He's running for an office, right? And other young persons are also coming up. So we are not just going to be mobilizers. We're going to be participating, and I'm very sure we'll take advantage and we'll vote for young persons who have good standing with the youth community.
People say that there's youth in Cross River State that are taking politics using it as an excuse to be lazy. Every youth in Cross River wants to be a politician, wants to be appointed, SA wants to be this. Everybody's just like a servant or a page boy or a media boy, a social media. That's the kind of names we hear about youth in Cross River State that you command.
Anyway, that submission is not substantiated, right? There are no data to show that the greater population of young persons in Cross River State have taken politics as their only option. As I speak to you, the youth of Cross River State are hardworking. If you go to our communities, go to Boki, go to Ikom, go across, go to Bekora, where I come from. Come to Calabar, the state capital. We have young persons who are doing great exploit in different businesses, in entrepreneurship and all. But we also have young persons who have strong interest for leadership. And so when you see them do their argument on the internet, you will now think that that represents the entire population of youth of Cross River State. Well, I disagree completely with that. The youth of Cross River State are hardworking in different endeavors. We also have a number of persons, just like you ask people, what's your hobby? It's okay, I like playing football. We also have young persons who have strong interest in leadership and then in politics. But for me as youth chairman, I have a concern that the involvement of young persons in politics at this time in Cross River State should be within the confines of, should I say, meaningful engagement. So there's a young person.
So there's a lot of disagreement in the social
Yes.
of Cross River State.
So as a young person, you don't have any business to bring down another young person for you to push your position. I don't need to bring you down as a young person for my own interest to see the light of the day.
But why did they do that?
Now, we're also engaging. Very soon we'll be back to the field to tell young persons that it is not about it is not about the number of times you abuse a person or you attack a person on the internet that will bring results. It's about going to the field, which is the polling unit. And what do they do in the polling unit? They vote. And so if you're an influencer, you're a young person, your duty is get your voter card, live rightly in your community, so that by the time you go to your polling unit and you share with them, this is what I think. They will rely on what you're giving to them if you have been in good standing with them. For instance, you don't even show up at all, or you work for a certain person who is paying you, and then you do not even communicate the challenges of your people to that person, and then you show up in your polling unit to not ask young people to follow you. They won't follow you. So, no abuse, no attack, and also very soon we'll also go across. There's freedom of speech. So you can just say, because I'm a young person, I have energy, you can come to the internet to attack people because of your interests. There are laws. So also make young people to know that it is out of place. Before you write, check. Before you say a thing, check if it's within the confines of the law. And then, another thing again that we'll be talking about very soon, back to the field, is you don't need gangsterism, you don't need to attack. So it should be about voting. There's a project we did at the time.
Encouraging them from using guns or attacking.
Yes. I think that was in 2019 or so, where we had advocated that instead of picking guns to fight, go to the polling unit to cast your vote.
All right, now I want to get your perspective on the leadership in Cross River State. Because part of why people have those kind of violent exchanges online is because of probably what people think about the result of political appointees, political elected officials, senators, House of Reps, House of Assembly members, and all of that. And that's because we're heading to another electoral cycle. What do you think of the performance of our politicians at the national level, from the governor down to the local councillor?
I think there are a whole lot of work to do. There are a whole lot of work.
Does that amount to lack of performance or below par performance?
At all level of leadership, there's a whole lot of work to do, from the national to the state to the local government to the world, even to the unit. Because obviously you can agree with me that we can count 1, 2, 3 gaps, right? Okay, let's take, for instance, employment. There's wide gap. And with the population of Nigeria is increasing by the day. And so the jobs are not even there, sufficient, right? And so we have a number of young persons who do not have what to do at all. And then take, for instance, infrastructure, right? Government will do their best, but we also have gaps. And so leaders who are aspiring for offices should know that we are not there. We are far from getting there. And just like they always tell Nigeria is work in progress, as they're going for office, the mindset should not be what necessarily they will gather for themselves. There should be a clear-cut a progression from where we are, where people will look for offices for personal aggrandizement or to empower their families and themselves. So we are looking forward to having leaders who will create opportunities for young persons, give us job, do the infrastructure. Commendably, there's this initiative which I like so much, the Nail Fund thing. Expand that, sustain it, and then open up the space to get more young persons to benefit from it. And then another commendable initiative of the government is at the youth space. At the time, there was a proposal for a national youth confab, right, where young persons will come together. That we shouldn't just be thinking when it will happen. It should happen already, so that young persons will add to the conversation, and then we have a working document. If we are seeing that there's no involvement of young persons, we should have a document. We should have data. So, okay, this ABCD, we need to do this. We need to get this done. And then in Cross River State, where I come from, I will thank the governor for his effort. At least being the youth chairman of Cross River State, I have opportunity to engage, and then I have a bit of information of the effort of government. Commendably, the 800 million naira grant, it was a grant that was given to young persons from the different communities, selected unbiasedly, right? So I commend the governor for that. And then I think also the governor did a training, the state government did a training on ICT, where about 100 young persons were trained on different level of IT, and then they were also empowered with laptops, and I've forgotten the amount, but young persons were also given money, about 360 per person, after that training. And then a whole lot of trainings that are all going. All of these things need to be sustained and then expanded to accommodate more because of the number of young persons we still have. And then another commendation I would like to give to the state government is...
Why all about state government? What about your legislators, your senators, your House of Representatives, Assembly? What about
yes.
You haven't done enough
yes.
to end your commendation?
I did not, I would not, the members, the legislatures, some have done their part, but significantly, I cannot give them excellent mark as youth chairman. The availability to interact with young persons is let me use the word queried, right? Young persons struggle to have interface with their representative. They do selective engagement with young persons. What do I mean? So when this person, if an XYZ member of the National State Assembly want to engage, they prefer to engage with a group of supporters. And those engagements should be all encompassing. After every election, what is needed is governance, right? And whatever they do at the national or the state assembly, it should be complementary, right, to what the state government is doing. We are in again for another elections, so the availability will become intense. Like men who are chasing. So for me as state chairman, I would like to request, because it's our right. It shouldn't be an appeal. We shouldn't be begging, right? It's our right as young persons. The engagement with young persons should be more. The challenges of young persons in Cross River State should be attended to by all of these leaders. People should not be selected to selective empowerment, right? Empowerment should be all-encompassing, because if you empower a young person, whether that person is your supporter or not your supporter, you've succeeded in taking an individual out of the street, and you are cutting off trouble already, right? So beyond the election engagement, I am charging them to be more deliberate about their engagement. They should not just mobilize us to vote for them, or they should not just call on us to call people to come and vote for them. And they should not just mobilize young persons to become thugs. Young persons are not tools. So instead of using young persons to achieve your aim, please engage them meaningfully and support them. And when they finally emerge, they should not abandon these young persons. That's why I see some people go to the internet to feel that their needs are not met. Maybe after putting in so much, just like people say, and then they feel we are not carried along, right? So you have to carry young people along genuinely by empowering them and supporting them. Just few commendations. A number of young persons have had opportunity to get scholarship through facilitation by some members of the National Assembly. I've also seen grants. I've seen a certain member of the National Assembly giving grants about 100K. But when you check the significance of the amount, I don't want to agree, because people want to argue that it is not in the amount. It is in the spirit of giving. No. The reality we have now, the economic reality demands that rather than giving peanuts and packaging it as though it's so big, they should do proper planning and do proper evaluation to see what they can empower young persons in Cross River State.